Call after call.
Overdose, intoxication.
It's another one down the street.
A real look at the heroin epidemic on our streets.
We can have on a busy day upwards of 12, 15 heroin overdoses.
This heroin epidemic is ripping apart families and crippling first responders.
Only on 5, our Michelle Casada spent 2 days with Delray Beach firefighters and saw firsthand the struggle against the drug overtaking our streets.
We can have on a busy day upwards of 12, 15 heroin overdoses.
What you see here is what Delray Beach firefighters deal with every day and night, a heroin overdose.
He's got 4 in the nose already, Chris.
Narcan is an opiate antidote, but the nasal spray is not working like it used to.
So what we used to administer at 0.4 milligrams of Narcan, now we're administering up to 8 and sometimes even more.
He's blinking. He's starting to wake up now. What'd you use? Okay.
That's what I believed it was.
Okay, I understand.
Today's heroin is laced with fentanyl, a synthetic opioid 50 times stronger than morphine. That's the killer. Even with Narcan, Fire Chief Neil DeJesus told me his first responders can't save them all.
They're seeing an amount of deaths equal to that we used to see in a career. They are now seeing over a several-month span.
And while first responders helped this patient,
Overdose, intoxication.
It's another one down the street.
Delray Beach firefighters believe what they're dealing with is not a problem. It's a crisis. Already this year, they've responded to more than 1,500 overdoses. During my 2-day ride-along, I saw first responders help a user who dropped his heroin on the ground of a public parking lot. Another time, they discovered needles and a spoon on top of a restaurant bathroom sink. And what hit me the hardest, a 3-year-old boy who found his father unconscious inside a business's bathroom. He told the owner his daddy was sleeping.
There's been occasions where they've responded back to that same patient for another overdose twice, and in one case 3 times in the same day. And that's incredibly frustrating.
You're in the back of the ambulance now. Okay, you overdosed, okay?
Is this the worst you've ever seen drug use in your career?
By far. By far.
Going to a 31-year-old male not responding.
Firefighters in Delray Beach are now going through mandatory counseling.
Signs and symptoms that I've seen in firefighters and just becoming calloused and hardened to here's another overdose and here's another person who's willingly and voluntarily trying to take their life for a high.
Drunk or high? Which up? High. Heroin or? Heroin or? Heroin.
Since the start of this year, 47 people have died of heroin overdoses, and that's just in Delray Beach. Delray Beach Fire Rescue can respond to as many as 12 to 15 overdose calls a day. At one point during my ride along, every available fire truck at every downtown fire station was out responding to emergencies, most of them overdoses.
Just incredible. So how many did you keep count of in the 2 days that you were out riding with them?
So I counted 8 that we were at, and that we rode along 8 hours on a Thursday, 8 hours on a Friday, and they had already had overdose calls before we got there, and after we left they had some as well. So they definitely had more than what we witnessed.
We know you've been working diligently, and this is really just the start of looking at something that is straining communities literally to the breaking point. It's just mind-boggling.
And it's happening everywhere. We focused on Delray Beach, but this is happening everywhere in Palm Beach County.
It's an alert for our entire community. Right. Michelle, thank you.
Thank you. 1 in 7 Americans, that's how many people the U.S. Surgeon General now says will face substance addiction. Today he put out the first ever report on this issue. The Surgeon General says nearly 21 million Americans are struggling with substance addiction right now. And we're talking about both drug and alcohol abuse. He says only 10% of people with a substance addiction are getting help.